Most hosts do the bare minimum when it comes to creating their Airbnb listing, and they are leaving money on the table, which upsets me. I'm upset. I'm upset.
Say it so the whole band can hear you. I'm upset.
Today we're going to be going through all of the small details that you likely missed when you first created your Airbnb listing. By the way, this is part 2 of my series on how to create an amazing Airbnb listing. Part 1 is going to be linked right here or right here, one of those. In that video, we'll walk you through the initial step-by-step process for creating your Airbnb listing. So let's hop into step 1 here. Step 1 is pretty obvious, and that's that you have to create an Airbnb account. I said this in the last video, but you have to literally do this in order to be able to create a listing. So go and do that really fast. And when you do, please consider using my link in the description down below to do so. It helps me, it supports the channel, and whenever you do, I will actually be connected with you in the Airbnb portal so that whenever you launch your listing, I can actually give you advice on your listing through the Airbnb app. And there's usually some kind of monetary sign up bonus too. After you've signed up with my link and you've gone through all the steps from that first video to create your initial listing, we're now ready to start filling that bad boy out. Bad boy. Who says that? Oh, little Airbnb listing croissant, you're a bad boy. We're now ready to start filling out your Airbnb listing. Hey, really fast, I have gone in and made this PDF right here. It's a guide on everything that we're talking about in this video. If you want a downloadable, readable thing to guide you through the process, whenever you're out there doing this on your own without the guidance of my YouTube video. It's totally free, and I'll leave a link in the description down below for you. Okay, back to the video. So first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna navigate to your listings tab here on Airbnb. You'll scroll down to the very bottom and you'll see that the listing that you just created is noted as in progress. You'll scroll down to the very bottom and that's gonna show your in progress Airbnb listing. So that's what we're gonna click into now, since that's what we created in the last video. And then we'll hit edit listing here. So interestingly, you will have to actually hit publish to this listing in order to start making edits to it. So let's do that. And then we've got we're greeted with this little mug right here. So we'll go and we'll just leave it at that. We're gonna go to let's get started. Now we can go back to that listing and actually start making edits to it. So first things first, I wanna make sure that instant book is not on. So let's take a look at that really fast. Yeah, okay, so first things first, you wanna do this as fast as possible because whenever you launch your listing, Airbnb will automatically select instant book and we do not want that off. So we are going to go to approve all bookings. It's gonna ask you all of these things. Hey, you might get fewer bookings, you'll need to review every request, you'll need to respond within 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. Okay, turn it off and save immediately. There's a very important reason you want to do this. Your listing is not ready. Your pricing is not ready. Your settings are not ready. I have seen many people make the mistakes of doing this and then saying, oh, you know what? I'll get back to it in a couple hours. And in those couple of hours, they get like 10, 15 bookings. And now they have to honor those reservations and eat the cleaning fees or eat those low prices that they didn't set. So it is a huge headache. Go do that instantly, super fast. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but it is imperative. Instant book, I'm a proponent. We're gonna turn it on a little later. All right, now that you have instant book off, we can start going box by box here and start filling everything out. We're gonna start with your title. Now, if you recall, when we were initially setting up our listing in that first video, Airbnb only gave us 32 characters to write our title. But when you go into the dashboard here, it opens up a little bit and we can actually do up to 50 characters. So for me, I like to use all the characters. I would prioritize those first 32 characters, but the formula is very, very simple for titles. You want to list your top 4 amenities. You should be able to fit your top 4 amenities in the title. I will show you what it looks like here. Cool. Hot tub, backyard, fire pit in the Heights. I'm gonna also drop this one in here for you to see. 300 square feet tiny home, hot tub, views. You might be saying, hey, that's only 3 amenities. Well, I really want to show the square footage because it really contextualizes how tiny that tiny home is. Hot tub, views. Oh, this one actually fit a little bit more in there. Heated pool, mini golf, arcade, cornhole, barbecue. BBQ. You can get creative here. I jammed in 5 amenities. I didn't spell out the whole word. I used the abbreviation. Great. And the internal name here is the name that only you will see. No exterior facing potential guests will ever see this. So for me, I can say Blue Houston house. The reason you want to do this is because if you have like 5 amenities, you might have multiple properties with hot tubs, backyards, fire pits. You might have very similar structures in your titles. So you just need a very easy internal name to quickly identify your property. We'll hit save here. Okay, property type, which is most like your place. We already did this. We did all this in that first video. And then we can start filling out some of these details. So how many floors are in the building? This is a 2-story home. Which floor is the listing on? Technically, it's in the first one. Year built, 1920, property size, 2,000, I don't know, 1,100 square feet. And then you can choose your unit. Boom. Save. So I know it seems kind of minute and not important, but remember, we're just pulling levers here, which I have a feeling I'm gonna say that a couple more times in this video, so get your shot glasses out. Now we're gonna get into your pricing here, and you have the option to turn on smart pricing. What smart pricing is it's basically dynamic pricing. Airbnb will use their algorithm to basically change your pricing every single day to find that optimal price point. Theoretically, based on the logic that you should be pulling levers, take a shot, you should turn this one on. The problem is that smart pricing is not very good, and I don't really know anyone who thinks that it is. There are plenty of other platforms out there like Price Labs, Wheelhouse, Guesty Light Optimizer. Any of those are gonna always be better than the Airbnb feature. And the reason is that's the only thing they do. They focus on making that one feature really, really good, whereas Airbnb is kind of a jack of all trades. It makes all of their features okay. So while it might hurt you in the algorithm to turn this one off, I think it's a net positive to have more control of your pricing via one of those platforms. If you want me to make a video on how those platforms work, let me know in the comments down below. And spoiler alert, I'll probably make it if enough of you ask. For now, we're gonna be setting our nightly price with the assumption that after you actually fill out and finish this Airbnb listing, you're gonna go and set up a pricing tool like Price Labs and sync it up with your Airbnb. But for now, we're just gonna work on our weekday pricing. I can tell you this property, for the most part on average, does $149 on the weekdays, and then I'm gonna set a custom weekend price, and that is typically at $299. And again, this is just to get us started, and we can always adjust as we go. Save. And then you have the option to put in your discounts. For me, I usually offer like a 10% weekly discount, and then the monthly discount is gonna depend. I usually do anywhere from 30 to 50%. I'll put 40% here. You know, I'm a huge fan of getting midterm rental guests, and the bigger the discount you add here, the more you're gonna incentivize people to book your place for 30 days or more. So then we will save that, and then we are good to go here. Oh, weekly. Let's put that at 10. Now, just a quick word on discounts. Make sure you calculate your discount and you're comfortable making the amount that you're discounting. I don't want you marking it down 40% if that's gonna leave you losing money. So don't take my percentages here as like the rule. Make sure you're adjusting it for your preferences. Okay, then we're gonna go to availability. So you're gonna wanna set your trip lengths here. For me, typically I have a 2-night stay, but once you get into a dynamic pricing tool like Price Labs, you can start finagling this a little bit. And then for me, hey, if someone wanted to book my place for 365 days, fantastic. There are some people that aren't comfortable with that because their place is in California, and when someone stays at your property for longer than 28 days, you start getting tenant rights and you run into squatter issues. So some people might put 28 days. For me, I'm gonna go 365. Advance notice, this is basically how much notice you need for someone to book your property. I always have mine set the same day because I always have my property ready to go at any moment. And then I let my guests book all the way until midnight. Now, this isn't gonna fit for everybody. Some people are like, hey, you know, I live on site. I need the time to get my place ready. I wanna go and do a spruce up clean. And so you can always turn this off if you're not comfortable with it. For me, I'm game. So we'll go back here, and then you're gonna set the number of guests. That's good to go here. We did that when we first created this property. Now, here's where it starts getting interesting, because when you do your initial setup of an Airbnb listing, it only lets you put that first about the space section. And most people don't even realize that there's a whole nother section called the space that you have to go and fill out. So let's do that really fast. Okay, so you're gonna go and you're gonna click into listing description. It's honestly kind of hard to find, which is why I kind of get why some people might miss it. Okay, so first we're gonna go to listing description, and this is gonna be that first intro paragraph. You wanna really hammer them with your top amenities. You have 500 characters to do this. Use them. Use as many as possible. I'm using 460, and honestly, I probably should put one more thing in here just to fill it out. But you wanna make sure that it's meaningful copy and you're not just like doing the whole, you know, essay thing from high school where you like double space after every period, just so that you can fill out more space. Okay, then we're gonna go to your property, and this is the space section of your Airbnb listing. Kind of looks like this right here. This is that introductory paragraph I was just telling you about. And then we actually write all of the details about the properties right here. So I'm gonna go copy and paste that. I will drop that in there. Now, you can put as little or as much copy as you want here. The biggest mistake that I see hosts make is that they only put like 1 or 2 sentences in there. That's not gonna cut it. That will lose you money. You wanna go into what I consider excruciating detail about your property. You wanna talk about all of the different amenities. You wanna talk about all the different sizes of beds that you have in every single room. You wanna just talk about all the important things that cover your property. The way I like to describe this is if you were to close your eyes and then someone read you the description, you should be able to mentally visualize what that space is like. Now, I know a lot of you aren't writers, so there are a couple of tricks to doing this. I actually have a whole video on how you can write your listing description using ChatGPT. I'll link it right there, or maybe it's right here. It's It's one of these. You can go watch that after this video. It's actually really, really easy to use ChatGPT to write your listing description with a caveat. ChatGPT, a lot of people will just use it. They'll just kind of initially prompt it and then copy and paste exactly what it wrote and put it in there. You can tell when something has been ChatGPT'd. So ChatGPT is AI, it's AI writing. If you're gonna use that, make sure that you're actually crafting it a little bit and you're not just copying and pasting directly from ChatGPT. Here are a couple of things that might assist you in using ChatGPT that I personally do. First and foremost, I will go to Redfin and I will take the description off of the MLS. So let's do that really fast. I'm gonna copy and paste this description. I'm gonna go into ChatGPT. Okay, I'm gonna say, hey, ChatGPT. I guess I don't need to say that, but I need help writing the space section on Airbnb for my property. Here is the MLS description, and then I am going to dictate a few notes. From there, I'd love for you to write it out for me using Airbnb best practices. So I'll copy and paste that, and then I'll say, let me know when you're ready for me to dictate some notes. And then I'll hit enter, and it's gonna say, sure, go ahead and get started. Okay, so then from there, I will open up the microphone, I will use voice mode, and then I'll do something like this. Okay, so this is a home located in the Heights, which is the most amazing neighborhood in Houston, Texas. It's so family friendly. I'm close to a bunch of bars and restaurants. The address is You don't need to put that address in the listing itself. I just want you to maybe check for a couple of nearby restaurants. This property is packed with a bunch of different amenities. It's got an arcade, it's got a speakeasy, poker room. It's super bright and vibrant and has Palm Spring vibes in it. The master bedroom has a king, the guest bedroom has a king, and the kids bedroom has 2 toddler beds and 1 crib in it. Let me know if you have any questions, but go ahead and write it out.
Welcome to our vibrant Palm Springs inspired home.
Hey there.
In Houston's
Really fast.
charming Heights neighborhood. This extensively renovated property features an open.
All right. So you get the general idea there. It will write that entire thing for you. And then from there, you'll go back and forth and refine it a little bit. It'll still take you a little bit of time, but it kind of helps you along with that writing process if you're not good at writing. But if you're pretty good at writing, then you can also do that too. All right, boom, good to go here. Okay, guest access here. It's gonna ask you for details about what spaces that your guests can use. You can just clearly outline this. I'm gonna say the whole property is available to you, but if you have any kind of restrictions, you might wanna note that. Please don't go into the garage though. That's my personal storage where I keep the bodies. Whatever that note is, drop it in there. Interaction with guests, I do like to put this in there. You can leave it blank if you want to. I usually say something to the effect of, while I'm not available in person, I'm just a short message or text message away from helping you out with anything that you need. And then other details to note is super important. These are some of those nitty-gritty details, like things that people should know. Hey, my neighbor has a dog that barks all night. If you're a light sleeper, this may not be the best house for you. If you want any kind of pool heating, we can accommodate that for an extra $50 a day. Anything that a guest could or would complain about, you want to get out in front of it as much as you can, drop it in there. You can also say things like, hey, by the way, we offer a complimentary laundry service. If that's something you're interested in, let us know and we'll arrange it after you book your stay. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break here because if you're watching this video, it's because you're about to start your Airbnb business or you're looking to start your Airbnb business. And if that's you, I definitely recommend that you head on over to hostcamp.com. I've got a ton of free downloads and resources and guides for you that will assist you in your hosting journey. And if you want a little bit of guidance and some one-on-one coaching from me, I offer that service too. And if that's something you're interested in, you can always book a call with me and my team down below. And we're always happy to point you in the right direction and help you out a bit. That link is in the description down below. Back to the video. Here's a huge one, and this is probably gonna be one of the more important things that you can do because it actually will have an effect on your bookings, and that's going into this amenities section. We're gonna open this up, and I'm gonna show you how many options you actually have. Now, when you're initially creating your Airbnb listing, like we did in that first video, it's only gonna give you a few amenities to choose from, but as you can see here, whenever you hit plus, you're gonna actually see way more amenities. This part is so tedious. I hate doing it every single time, but it is important because if you have an identical property to your neighbor and there's really not that many discernible differences, it's gonna come down to some of these things that you're notating in your listing, like an iron. That might be really important to someone and that could tip the scale between 2 very, very similar properties if that person is a business traveler or they're going to a wedding and they need to be able to iron out their clothes. Arbitrary example there, but I think you get get the point. So you're gonna go in and you're gonna start clicking on everything that you have, and it even gets more tedious than that because sometimes it will ask you for the brand of that specific amenity. I'll show you that in a second. So I put a baby bath here. It asks you like, hey, it's always at the listing. Guest must request it. That's not a big one, right? That's pretty fast. But then you get into things like bed linens, okay? If you hit plus here, it's going to actually ask you the brand, okay? So you might do cotton. You might say Brooklinen. All right, that's a really, really fancy set of sheets. That would tip the scales for me. I love Brooklinen so much. It's just like I couldn't live my life without Brooklinen. So you better believe I would choose a property based on that. But you're gonna wanna go in and really just with the fine-tooth comb, check every single thing. Again, I know some of these might seem basic, like cooking basics. Everyone's probably like, well, duh, who doesn't have cutlery? Who doesn't have a pot and pan? But some people don't. So you're gonna wanna notate it where it applies. Once you do that, you'll hit done. And now you'll have everything listed and it will show up on your listing. Okay, next, accessibility features. You wanna notate everything. Accessibility is a huge thing and people are absolutely searching Airbnbs for these types of features. So I'm not gonna go through every single one, but I think you're getting the point now that there's so much here to fill out that you were not prompted to fill out when you first created the listing. Couple things here, booking settings. Personally, I like to keep my instant booking off for the first 3 reservations or so because I like to interact and talk to my guests and just kind of see what types of questions they're asking before I open the floodgates. This to me is just how I QA my own listings. And then you want to go here to house rules. This is really important too because if you miss this, you might have people showing up with dogs, you might have people throwing events, smoking, being super loud. So I like to set my quiet hours. I'll say, hey, quiet hours start at 9 p.m. and they end at 7 a.m. No, I don't like commercial photography or filming, the number of guests, but the really important one that you want to pay attention to is the check-in and check-out times. I let people check in at 4 p.m. and I ask them to check out at 10 a.m. because I'm lame. I have a good amount of colleagues that will let guests check out at 11, but I guess I don't trust my cleaners enough. I'm like, I want my cleaners to have as much time as possible. So we'll hit save. Safety considerations, kind of a big one here. I love that this is an option here. Not a good fit for 2 to 12-year-olds. Okay, that could be the case. If it's dangerous, if it's on a cliff, if it's like my property out in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, on a mountain, I would probably check that. Pool or hot tub doesn't have a gate or lock. That's worded confusing though. So if you say it doesn't have a gate or lock, if you check that, does that mean that that's true? And then if you hit X, you're saying, no, I don't not have a gate or lock. I don't know. It's important to read through every single one of these though. Potentially dangerous animals on the property. Guests and their pets will be around animals like a horse, mountain lion, or farm animal that could cause harm. Yeah, I tend to have a ton of mountain lions around my property. I just like them. I buy them. I'm a collector of mountain lions. So I just like to let my guests know that before they ever book. And some of these details get lost too. Again, I'm not gonna take you through every single one of these, but some of them are important. Guests must climb stairs, okay? Elderly people do not like climbing stairs. You wanna let them know that, add any pertinent details there. Potential noise during stays. If you know that your neighbor is building an ADU or guest house and there's gonna be jackhammers and hammering away all day, you wanna let them know, otherwise you will be getting refund requests. Pets live on the property. Let's say it's a duplex and you have a dog that stays in your house. Even if the dog never goes into the other yard, you wanna let them know because some people might be terrified of dogs and things can happen. So you wanna bring that to their attention. Airbnb did ask some of these questions in that initial setup phase, like the weapons one. Outside of that, a lot of these weren't in that initial questionnaire. 2 more things on this page here. You can set your cancellation policy here. I am a strict cancellation policy guy. I will say that being flexible probably gets you more bookings. It probably helps you in the algorithm a little bit more. I think I'm just too much of a coward to do it, if I'm being honest. I know people that do it and they're very successful. For me, I like to be able to count my chickens before they hatch, so I'm a strict guy. And then you can also set this little non-refundable option here where guests pay 10% less, but you keep your payout no matter what. Cool. Long-term stays, you can also set your cancellation policy for that too. Switch to strict. All right, last little thing on this one here, custom link. I think this is kind of important. If you have a name for your property, you should do it. Otherwise, the link to your property is a bunch of letters and numbers, too hard. So we're gonna do Blue Heights Casa. That's the first thing that came to mind. Boom, save. That's a really, really good start, but we still actually have a few more things to fill out here. Namely, your arrival guide. So you'll have the opportunity to adjust your check-in and check-out time. You'll wanna add your directions. I mean, I'm a believer that if they have your address, they can just drop it into Google. However, I have a place in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, where there is like no service once you hit the mountain, and it's like a whole pain. So I actually have a very written out set of directions to my specific cabin in the directions section here. So you could do that, or if there's really any pertinent things that people need to know in order to be able to arrive to your house, this would be the place for that. Okay, so there's a toad by the mailbox that demands you answer his riddle before he gives you the key. That one's always, I've gotten a lot of 3-star reviews over that. Okay, check-in method here. Super important. You want to put your keypad or your lockbox information here. When you do it through your app, it actually lets you upload photos of your check-in method, and you can show them a photo step-by-step guide of how to get into your house. So I would do that. I'd initially put in your information here. The code to the keypad is 1234. Okay, once you've done that, you'll get on your app and actually upload photos of how to use the keypad or where the keypad is located or where the lockbox is located. Super important. I promise you, if you just spend like 10, 15 minutes getting this part right, like super right, you will get so little guests that like bother you when you're like at the theater or at Thanksgiving dinner that are like, hey, I can't check in. I can't find the keypad. The keypad's not working. And then you're like, did you hit enter? And they're like, oh, no. I'm scarred and I'm upset. All right, it's not even late. It's 4:39 p.m. Okay, next. Fill that out. Wi-Fi details, trust me. This one is one of those things that I often forget to do because I'll set up my listing many times before the Wi-Fi is set up and I never go and do it. And then guests get there and they ask me and I'm like, oh, just remember, you may not be able to finish this all in one go, but make notes of what you need to go and finish out. And then your house manual, just so you know, is important. This is a private manual that only your guests get to see. In here, you want to include notes on things like how to use your thermostat, when the trash day is, if that's something you do with the midterm rental guest, when your landscapers will arrive, when your pool maintenance people will arrive so that they're not surprised whenever they hear someone weed whacking by the window at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. We've already covered house rules here, checkout instructions, super important to be as upfront here as possible. No one likes you asking them to rake their yard and re-shingle their roof, right? So be very clear. Nowadays, my checkout instructions go like this. Please generally tidy up by throwing away any loose trash. My cleaner can take it from there, smiley face. This just means I just don't want a bunch of garbage and wrapper and food items all over the floor because I just think it's kind of gross when people are messy like that. And I have a certain expectation and level of respect that I expect for my guests. And I think it's fair. But I'm also not gonna ask them to like mop the kitchen. Certainly don't wanna end up in someone's TikTok.
The hot tub isn't hot. There's an imaginary switch on the bottom you can use to go yourself.
Okay, and the last one, this is something that we wrote a little bit earlier, but it's your interaction with guests, your preferences. And you can say, hey, I won't be available in person and prefer communicating through the app. This just sets that expectation like, hey, please don't call me expecting me to show up to your house to fix every little thing. And if you're a chatty Cathy and you like socializing and spending time with guests, please put that in there. But I would urge you to not bother your guests unless they seem open to it, like read the room. I get massages several times a month and my masseuse, even though I say I prefer a quiet session, always talks to me while she's giving me a massage, which is both awkward and frustrating because I'm just there to not talk. And that's probably how your Airbnb guests feel. They don't want you talking to them while you're kneading their back. They probably don't want you kneading their back either. Too much? I wish I could say that we were done, but there's two more things that I want to walk you through. So you see these little filtery daddies right here? Okay, so this isn't super clear, but you want to click this because it's going to give you a whole other menu. And this is basically where you would have your property listed or unlisted. You'll set your languages. You can add different languages. If you can speak another language and get your listing translated, I think this can only help you.
How else can I say it? I don't speak no other languages.
But the one that I think is important in all of this is the guest requirements. I absolutely require a profile photo in order to book my place. I think it's super important. I need to be able to associate a face with the guest. I think people that don't upload profile photos to their Airbnb profile, I think they're lazy.
Attention campers, lunch has been canceled today due to lack of hustle.
And I don't want a lazy person booking my place because they're probably gonna be an awful guest. Hot take, but sue me. Last one in this section here that's super important is the tax collection. I always go with the default here, which is with this option, Airbnb will collect and remit the taxes on your behalf. I always want that. I don't wanna be collecting my taxes and then remitting them to the city. So I would urge you to have the default check there. Okay, that's that section. Whew! We are almost done. I swear to you, we are almost done, my friends. All right, there's one big thing here, and it's honestly my least favorite thing about Airbnb, and I don't like that they force you to do this, and it's the photo tour, and I'll show you what I mean here. So you'll click create your photo tour here, and it's gonna be sorting your photos into different rooms. I'm not a fan of it. There are some tricks and hacks for how to get out of it. Here's how I do it. So I would add photos, and I would not add a room or space. I would just add photos here. It says drag and drop. I'm gonna add a few photos here. Okay, and then I'm gonna upload. So what I did here to get out of this photo tour is I added the photo and I did not add a room or space. I did not upload the photo to the bedroom, to the bathroom, anything like that. I added it all into additional photos. So by doing that, whenever I click here, the photos show up here in the order that I select, in the order that I choose. I get to choose the journey that I take a guest through instead of Airbnb. I will show you what it looks like when Airbnb makes you do it. All right, let me show you an example here. This is the cover set that you see here. And your best amenity might be something like this outdoor space, but when you click that, it will not take you to that photo. As a matter of fact, you will have to scroll through all of the different sections of the house before you get to the backyard show-stopping feature of the property. I don't like this. If I spent and invested a lot of money in my backyard, I would want that to be shown first. I would like to dictate where that goes, but instead I have to sift through all of the interior shots, which are a lot more boring than the backyard, before I even realize that there is a backyard. And oftentimes people's show-stopping amenities like hot tubs and saunas do not even show up until the very end of the listing. So for that reason, I'm not a proponent of the photo tour. This is one of those instances in which you're breaking the Airbnb algorithm. I understand that, but I think it's a net positive to be able to control the order of photos that your guests see. Much like I do on this listing. See, I want this pool to be the first thing that my guests see, and I want them to be able to see my speakeasy, my arcade, all of the cool outdoor features before I walk them through the interior, which is all great too, but it's just not as much of a showstopper as the first few photos. And that's a quick little lesson on the photo tour. Upload them to your additional photos, delete any of the photos associated with the bedrooms, and that should get you out of it. We're in the end game now, my friends, I promise. Okay, last thing, this is incredibly important. This will lose you money if you don't pay attention to this tip. If you notice, we just went in and set everything up with our listing, but the one thing that we haven't done, or the one thing we haven't been prompted to do, is to actually set the cleaning fee. Meaning if someone books your property, they will not have paid a cleaning fee, and that will be on you. And that could cost you 100, 200, 300 bucks, depending on how much your cleaning fee is. So much like you wanna go and turn off your instant book as quickly as possible, you're gonna wanna go and set your cleaning fee before you start taking bookings as well. And I'm gonna show you how to do that really fast. So you'll click on calendar here, and then you wanna find your listing, click on that listing. Here we get back into the discount settings, the availability settings, but as you can see, it's gonna take you a bit to go and actually find the cleaning fee or the pet fee or whatever that is under additional charges. Like, it's so crazy to me that Airbnb just kind of like hides that and makes you dig for it. I know a lot of people have been screwed by this, and I think Airbnb does it on purpose. My guess is they're trying to combat the whole hotel thing, and they don't want hosts to charge a cleaning fee. So, cleaning fee, here's what you're gonna do. Amount per stay, super easy. For this, it's $125, boom, set. And then you can actually go and set extra fees on top of this too. If you want to charge a pet fee, you can do that, which I think is fair to do. If you consider boarding fees, people can pay anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks a day to get their dog boarded. So I'm sure they'd rather just pay that to the host so that they don't have to incur that cost. And then the extra guest fee, this is a big one. For me, if I have a property that can sleep 10 people, that's more wear and tear. And so I might charge $10 per guest after 8. That's a quick little way to make a markup here. So after 8 people, I will charge $10, meaning I will make an extra $20 a night if 10 people book my property. I don't always do this for all of my properties, but it is an easy way to capture a few more dollars. And most people are happy to pay for it too, because guess what? Their other alternative is to go to a hotel and book 3 or 4 hotel rooms instead of your Airbnb. And then you have the ability to tack on a few additional fees. There is actually a strategy behind some of these fees. I'm gonna keep it at 0 for now. Maybe I'll make a video on this little fee section in the future, but I'm gonna leave it out for now because the important thing is making sure that you set your cleaning fee. And scene. Okay, we did it. That's like 98% of everything you need to do. I'm sure I missed a thing or two, but for the most part, you now officially have a comprehensive look at what it takes to craft and curate your listing. Most people don't do what we just went and did over the last 20 minutes. Is that how long this video is? 30 minutes? 40 minutes? Oh God, I'm so sorry, but I hope you found this helpful. Again, if you haven't gone in and created your Airbnb account yet, I would definitely appreciate it if you use my link in the description down below. We'll get connected, I'll review your listing. I'm gonna roast you a little bit, but then we'll make your listing better. Don't forget that I also made this PDF here with my top listing tips. If you want a PDF guide on how to create your Airbnb listing. And if you didn't watch the first video in this series, then I would definitely recommend that you watch this first so you understand the core basics for just doing that initial setup phase. So click right here after you like and subscribe, right here. All right, see you in that video.